Couple YouTube things I want to like talk about, like just things I'm watching on YouTube. 'Cause
Oh yeah,
that's
go ahead.
gonna replace Hollywood soon.
Yeah, I mean it has
Um,
for me.
the main one that I really enjoyed was the Super Eye Patch Wolf
Oh yeah, the
video
wrestling
that
thing.
is the unreality of pro wrestling. And I think the appeal of this series for me is because I watched wrestling probably from 1992 to 2001, 2002. So after that, there's 2 decades where I've never watched. And so it's fun to see because he goes over like this one focuses around Roman Reigns and
Yeah.
kind of his storylines within the Shield, and then the Bloodlines storyline. Um, and so it's so fun because he goes through the whole storyline. He's very thorough, and it's great to see how everything connects, how everything evolves, and how um, and especially because there are anchors for me, even from because I remember hearing like Roman Reigns retired the Undertaker, and everyone was outraged, and I didn't know who Roman Reigns was, and I was like, but I heard it broke the sphere, and I heard about it as a normie, and so it
I
was
remember
fun to.
I remember the night he came out, the Raw after he retired the Undertaker. The audience booed him for like 15 minutes and he just let it happen. And then he finally was like, "This is my yard now," and everybody went, "Ah, you fucking asshole!" And he got a lot of heat, but the wrong kind of heat for a while, and then it turned into the right kind of heat eventually.
Yeah, he was able to use it, so it's a great video, especially how you balance the real life and the storylines of wrestling, and it's a fascinating watch. I love all
This
of it.
past year, they at WrestleMania, Roman won yet again to Cody Rhodes, who they branded the plot line was like the story ends tonight or something, because WrestleMania is often marketed as like the sort of season finale of wrestling. And so that's when Cody had lost all of his matches and stuff, but he had a ton of heat as a face. And so that's when you let him win. And they didn't. And everybody really, they were like, this is the right time. And they didn't. And then I guess the next night, Triple H was out there and he was like, well, we branded it the story ends tonight, but in reality, in wrestling, the story never ends. So we have to keep it going. And it kind of begged an interesting question about like, yeah, but endings are very important. You have to have endings. Like, yes,
Yeah,
even in serialized, but you have, like, cause so often when you think about a story or a movie or a show that you love, you think about a season finale, or you think about some kind of like arced moment, something that made everything that came before it make sense and worthwhile. And, yeah, so to be like, no, we're going to leave things open constantly. It's like, that's not good storytelling.
yeah. The other thing um, that the algorithm fed me was this video by Power Pack, which I don't, he has quite a few views, but I have never heard of him. And it was about a Doom WAD called My House. And this is such a fascinating piece of art. So Doom WADs are basically custom maps. They've been around since Doom existed. You can make custom maps with tools and stuff like that. And there's modern tools nowadays, but it's really just all based on old Doom. And so this guy goes kind of and he does it really well, where he brings you kind of like the story, like how he like found this mod, download this mod, and then takes you through the mod organically. It's really well told, and which I was like riveted the whole time. Like this is why Hollywood fails.
Yeah.
Um, and this mod, it's called My House, and it was posted by a user who was created in like 2006 and didn't really post anything until like recently. I think it was this year. Posted this Doom mod, and it was like, oh, it's this is based on my friend's house growing up. He died recently, and I was gifted a floppy drive of like when he was a kid. He just recreated his house in this wad, and so I just took it. I'm like cleaned it up a little bit, and I'm giving it this to you here with some documentation. and just enjoy it. It's like 10 minutes. It's fun. It's easy. Just go through it. And so you load up the WAD, and you know, it's a house, like a suburban house in the Doom engine, and you go in, and there's like, you know, the regular enemies and stuff in there. And then as you like wander around, you find keys, and you explore things like, oh, there's a bedroom, there's a kitchen. It's really fun. It's like it's kind of charming. It must be this childhood house. And then like, but as you go through it, things start to get a little weird. Like you'll go into the basement, and you'll see a window that wasn't there before, and like you see a power up through that window, and you're like, oh, I was in the yard, but I didn't see that power up, so I'll go back to like get that power up. And when you try to get that power up, like it's gone. It's like, so there's like weird things like this. And then there's you'll wander around, you'll get more keys, and you'll notice that like yeah, like doors will like disappear, or a door will appear, and it's like you find out that there's like, it's not what it seems like. You'll like eventually you'll go into a basement, and you'll find like a breaker, and you'll like turn it off, and when you turn it off, the lights go off, and there's all of a sudden everything's screaming. It's like it turns into this like existential horror
Holy shit.
thing. And then you find out like there's like a huge cavernous thing under the house, where it's like a liminal space, like a huge long hallways, big incomprehensible spaces. And it's like it becomes even more like it's like a liminal horror. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's like kind of things that look unreal or too like exaggerated or stretched out using like architecture basically. And it's so you realize that this mod is not what it seems. And there's the documentation with the WAD includes a journal which documents the creator of this mod kind of like going mad. And so there's like a story like really complex and storytelling with layers associated with this mod, and really well done programming too. Like it's a very complicated mod that is very sophisticated, that just came out of nowhere. And so it's like it's a beautiful art piece that somebody just anonymously dropped into our laps. And this, it's great. And I recommend it. And it's pretty spooky. Like it's kind of reminds me of like the creepypasta, you know, that kind of stuff where you go to Reddit and you read these stories and you get the shivers.
What is it, like 90 minutes or something?
Yeah. And then, and it's very much based on the novel House of Leaves, which is a similar story where a guy, it's a very complicatedly structured story where a guy has a house, and he measures the inside, and he realizes that the inside is bigger than the outside. And he's like trying to figure out how this is. And then he finds a door which leads to a cavernous the thing underneath his house and stuff like that. It's more complicated, obviously, but it's another one of those liminal horror type stories. And so it's sort of based on that, but wrapped in the Doom mod, wrapped in this kind of like story about somebody who lost somebody. It's very good. I recommend you check that out, especially if you're into Doom mods.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.